my channel. So today I'm going to start a little project. Well, not a little, it's actually huge for me. I just recently started using some polymer clay and I got this brilliant idea to try and make the ice cream man from Ace of Clays. But I want to do it not big, but small, because he just released a video of him supersizing it because of a 1 year anniversary, and he made a plushie, and I really liked the video. And I thought, okay, this sounds like a challenge. He does it big, I want to try it small. So for my very first sculpture, I'm going to try and make the ice cream man small. So I already started out a little bit. What I did is I used a wooden bead and some wire to create a base for my head, because I don't have that much clay, so I didn't want to waste all of it. And I'm a little bit scared of using aluminium foil because it tends to have a lot of air in it, and I only have this really cheap polymer clay. I will show you the package. So it's just this brand of polymer clay. It's really cheap. I buy it at the Action. I didn't want to spend a lot of money for a project I don't even know if it's gonna work. So I got my laptop in front of me with some reference pictures just to make it a little bit easier. But I got the wooden bead, put the wire through, and I plugged the hole with a little bit of polymer clay just to make sure that there's no air in there. I got a little bit of foam. I can stab it in like so I don't have to put it down if I'm not working on it. Yeah, I'm stalling. I'm stalling. I'm trying to think, how am I going to do this? Because I've never done this. I just need to start. Let's just get a laid out. I'm going to put a little bit of my tools to the side. So these are the silicone tip ones. They're really soft and nice. Then of course I've got a sharp pointy thing, as Jackie would say. And you know, maybe you should subscribe. I'm just kidding. I got a little dotting tool I normally use for my nail art. Most of these are actually things I use for my nail art. Then I've got this little cool tool, the sharp pointy thing, a knitting thing. Never use it for knitting. And of course an acrylic roller. So let's just take a chunk of this clay that I think will be enough for the start of the head. Let's roll it out. So as I said, I never done this before. For now, I'm just going to wing it. So let's just put the clay over. And I know the head is not a round thing. So let's pull these forward a bit. Probably gonna have a lot of this video just filming on time lapse, so I can listen to some cute music and take my time. This is probably gonna be a project of several days because I'm a perfectionist and I really want to make it look as good as I can. So I got a lot of pictures from his website. Go look at it. He has some amazing stuff for sale as well. But I'm just going to block out the shape of the head and I'll get back to you when I start actually sculpting something. Let's start by making the eyes. I'm just going to use a little bowl tool to make some sockets. Maybe use a slightly bigger one. That's better. Let's make an indent where the eyeballs are going to be placed. Now I'm just going to block out the mouth. It needs to be quite big because we're going to have to put a lot of teeth in there. I just made the nose and I'm already regretting doing a video because it took me almost an hour to finish it. So now let's just add some eye sockets. I'm just going to use some snakes of clay and I'm going to blend them into the rest of the clay. I'm just using a couple different tools and just lightly pushing down the edges of the clay till it looks like they are melted into the rest. So this is what I got so far. I put in about 3 hours. The hardest part was getting the nose profile looking nice from the side, and it's still looking good from the front. So I got the eye sockets and the eyebrow bones. I've got some rimples on the top of the head and the ones on the side of the mouth. So I'm probably gonna try and get some teeth done tomorrow. So I'll be right back. It's the next day and I decided to add a little bit more clay to the chin. There just wasn't enough room to put in all the teeth. Now I think we have more than enough room to add the teeth. So I'm just going to mark the area out with my Explorer tool. To make the teeth look a little bit more 3D, instead of adding clay on top, I'm just pushing the rest of the clay around it down. Now I'm just going to add a little piece of clay to that one front tooth to make it a little bit bigger, just like so. To create the bottom teeth, I'm just going to use a couple different tools and just push and pull at the clay till I'm satisfied. And I'm also adding the rest of the details into the teeth and then blending out the neck area. And now let's create the ears. They are really finicky because they're so tiny. I decided to make them separately instead of on the head itself because I needed to push and pull on the ear and I didn't want to damage the rest of the face. So I just wanted to check in with you. This is how far I've gotten. I've got one ear attached, but it was a lot of work getting the ear to sit on the head correctly. I made it flat on my tile and then I cut the side of it, like the front part, I cut it in at an angle because that way it will sit on the correct angle on the head. Then I just smoothed it to the front and added some clay in the back to attach it and finalize the details. So yeah, let's do this to the other side and then I'll be adding the pupils. So I think it's time to do a bake because I'm really scared that I will mess up anything in the face if I put the hair and the little head on. So I'm probably gonna put this to the side and start working on the body so I can bake the body and the head at the same time. So let's get started on some armature. Some wire thingy that the body will go on. So let's get working on it. I'm just using a thin metal wire I had laying around. Because it's a little bit thin, I'm just twisting it in the areas I need it to be a little bit sturdier. I did make a little sketch just to make sure that my proportions are going to be right. So I've added some aluminium foil to the center to make the body, and I finished it off with some painter's tape. And I think I'm going to start with doing the pant legs. So I rolled out some brown clay because I don't have a lot of the lighter color, and I'm just going to wrap it around. So here's what I decided to do. I rolled out two little snakes and I put a cut in the middle and opened it up with my dotting tool. And I got some of my PVA glue. I'm going to add that to the wire. I'm going to do one side first. And I'm going to let it dry a little bit so it gets a little bit more tacky. And then I will place the wire in the groove and close it. And hopefully that way it will stay on. So let's get this glue to dry a little bit. It's not going to take that long. So I'll show you when this glue is a little bit more tacky. I'm just going to add the clay around the wire and I'm going to try and push both sides together. Then I'm going to use my knitting needle to roll over the seam. That way it's going to close and it will look seamless. I found a little air pocket, so I'm going to use my knife and open up the bubble so I can close it without trapping any more air. That way I'm reducing the risk of cracking during the baking process. I will do the same thing on the other side and then we can move on to the top of the pants. So if you wonder how I store my little figurine, I put it inside of a plastic container that has a lid so nothing can get to it. I ended up adding the top of the pants yesterday because I had a little bit of time left over before going to bed. So this is what we've got right now and I think it's a good time to add the shirt. I already prepared a piece of clay by rolling it out and I think this is going to be the right size for the shirt. But I want to add a nice straight edge, so I'm just going to use my blade and cut a piece off. Now it lines nicely up with the pants. Now I'm just going to flip it over the top. It's a little bit short, but we're going to fix that later. I'm just cutting off all the excess clay and then I'm just going to fold it over and cover the sides. I almost forgot to add some PVA glue because I really want to make sure that the clay sticks to the tape underneath. Now it's finally time to place the clay on top of the glue and I'm just going to cut away any excess and try and make it fit nicely around the body. For now I'm just not worrying about the arms, I'm just going to do the chest and the back area. Now it's time to add some rimples. I already prepared some snakes of clay and I'm just going to place them one by one onto the shirt and then smooth out all the edges until it looks like it's just one piece. And I'm just going to repeat this process all the way around until it looks like the reference picture I'm using. So the head is out of the oven. I'm going to let it sit on this stand for a little bit so I don't have to hold it, but it's cooled down, it's hard, so we don't have to worry about messing it all up. I pre-made some pieces for the hair and I also already did the head off camera. Let's start by adding the base shape of the hair to the head. I'm smoothing down the edges to make sure that it's properly connected. To make the curls, I'm adding some balls to the base shape. Then using a small ball tool, I'm just smoothing out one side, making sure to alternate sides, and that way you can create a nice curl shape. And because I already baked the head, I'm not worried about messing up any of the features. Using a silicone tool, I blend out all the other edges. And using the rest of my tools, I just keep on refining the shape. And many hours later, I end up with this. I'm really happy how it turned out. Look at all the details. I especially like the little curls on the back. They're just so cute. Now let's add the head. And making sure it doesn't touch the forehead, because looking at the reference pictures I'm using, it doesn't touch it. I'm adding just a little bit of PVA glue just to make sure it doesn't come off. I'm pretty happy how this is looking. I think it's time to put the head on the body. First I need to cut down the wires because they are way too long. That's a lot better. I'm just going to push them into the clay through the tape and then into the aluminium foil that's on the inside. I made sure to look at the angle of the placement because it looks like the figure has kind of a hunchback. And I just bent the wire so the head sits at the correct angle. I want to continue working on the shirt, but first we need to add some clay to the neck so we can add the color. I decided to make it out of 2 pieces, that way I could get a nice fit around the neck, and I just blended the 2 pieces together on the back side. Let's finish off the rest of the shirt. First I added some more clay. I added some details with my tools, placed this cute little skull belt buckle, and then I added the final touches, the little buttons on the shirt and of course a little bow tie. I did another bake just to make sure that all the details that I've added so far wouldn't be messed up by me handling the piece. I think this is one of the big pros of working with polymer clay. I want to place my figurine on this wooden coaster, but to make sure he's not going to fall over, I'm going to add some extra wire to the feet. Because I'm using a really thin wire, I'm going to reinforce it with a couple of extra pieces. And I'm going to be hiding the extra pieces in the shoes. So this is the shape I came up with. I think it's going to be secure enough to hold the whole piece up. So this is what it is looking like. I drilled some small holes and just put the wires inside. I did add some polymer clay in the bigger holes just to make sure that the wire is really secured in there. Now it's time to add the arms. First I'm adding some PVA glue to the wire. Then I'm rolling out some more polymer clay snakes and cutting them to the right size. Adding a channel in the center where the wire is going to sit and placing them onto the wires and smoothing down the edges so we get a nice blend. I'm just pinching the seam closed and rolling it out so it's seamless. And to finish it off, I'm adding the 2 fingers. I'm adding some balls of clay to create the knuckles and then adding all the details using my clay tools. I must admit that it's taking a long time, but it's also really enjoyable. It's kind of relaxing actually. Oh my goodness, look at how cool they came out. Even the fingernails look perfect. Let's add some sleeves. The reason I'm using a loose piece of clay is so you can really get the feel that it's fabric on top of the arm and not just one piece. Let's add some PVA glue to the feet. I'm adding some more clay to the hole just to make sure we're not going to trap any air. Then it's time to start blocking out the shape of the shoe. And I'm just using my blade to trim off any excess. Now it's time to add the final details. I'm mostly using my Explorer tool because this has a nice fine tip. You could also use a little needle. And let's say it together. He's done. I'm so happy how he turned out. No cracks, no issues. He's fully baked. I can't wait to start and paint him. That's going to be another video. If you want to see it, just click the link at the end of the video. Yeah, he's so cool. Look at how his face turned out. He's not a perfect copy, but I don't mind. This is my first sculpture. I'm so glad he turned out as good as he did. I made it. I made it with my own 2 hands. So I love the ice cream hair I did. It really looks like chocolate ice cream. Like even the backside I'm so happy about. He's gonna look so nice with some paint on him. I would really like to hear your thoughts on him. If I could have done anything better, different, please let me know. Just leave a comment down below underneath the video. I would love to read your comments. So I want to thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.